Let's get perspective now on the Pahalgam terror attack. Joining us now for perspective is Lieutenant General Dr Mohan Bhandari. General Bhandari has served with the Indian Army, and Kumar Mishra, former ADG BSF, is also with us. Such a pleasure to have the two of you gentlemen on DD India. I'll begin with you, General Bhandari. How do you see the timing of the JNK terror attack coming as it did when there was steadily growing perception about stabilization of the situation post Article 370 abrogation? Tourism was surging, Amarnath Yatra was about to start, and confidence was rising in the ability of security forces to thwart threats.
Firstly, let me tell you that what you said is okay, but don't forget that the Vice President of the United States is also on the Indian soil. That is number one. And you must have heard about 3 days back the dangerous talk and statement given by Asim Munir, the Chief of Army Staff of Pakistan Army. And the third thing, as I look at it, is our Prime Minister's recent visit to Saudi, and he was given such a state welcome where our own plane was escorted by 2 jets on the other side. So all this thing is not seen in good perspective by our neighbor, and it is nothing new. I would like to tell you that even the so-called the Resident Front, which is known as the TRF, this is just to make fool of the environment. This is nothing but a front of LET, Hafiz Saeed. So all these people are the foreigners who are trained, aided and abetted from across the border. And this thing started off, well, on the 27th October 1947. When the Kabbali's were unleashed on the soil of JNK. So ever since then, we have had these problems of terrorism from our next door neighbor. So let's be very clear about this, because unfortunately you can't change your neighbors. And with Pakistan, you will be amazed that we share a boundary of 3,323 kilometers, and out of which we have 740 kilometers of line of control, and which is only fenced for about 600 kilometers. And we got 201 kilometers of international boundary, and then we got about 110 kilometers of EGPL. So you are very right. This timing has been done with design. I still remember whenever anybody comes from outside, even in the past also you must have seen when the Clintons came and when the Biden came, it was done by them just to tell them and tell international world that things are not okay, and we must keep alive the issue of JNK. At one time, I remember in US, Pakistan used to say that this is the nuclear flashpoint.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll build on that point in a bit, but Mr. Mishra, coming to you now, there was a reference by General here about the attack that had happened just before the then US President Bill Clinton had come to India. So there was religious profiling of victims by the terrorists this time around too. So if we look at the timeline of attacks, then in the last 2 to 3 decades, we see a lot of them have been directed at pilgrims, tourists and minorities in JNK. Would you say no surprises there, given how LET and its fronts operate, a point that General here was making?
Yes, I can well tell you this time which was selected. Definitely it was when our Prime Minister was there at Jeddah, and Mr. J.D. Vance was there. He is there in India. And if we go back before 4 days, what General Munir has stated against Hindus, he wanted to make a conflict in India between these communities. And the way the attack had taken place by TRF, exactly similar way it has happened. And perhaps it was planned at Rawalkot by same Lashkar-e-Taiba Hafiz Saeed, by his second-hand commander Saifullah Kasuri, and of course Sajid Gul is also involved. But we have to see how they have penetrated, which route they have taken, and how they were given shelter, and at which places they were given shelter. Anyway, the NIA is already there and they are looking into this. But we can well tell that this proxy war will continue until and unless We don't go for an overt operation for every such action by Pakistan in our country. You have seen the Kashmiriyat today. It is the first time the whole of Jammu and Kashmir, they are united. This is the first time all the political parties and complete all Indians from all religions, they are standing behind the government and behind the Prime Minister. And if you see this, the way Kashmiris has come out blaming this militants and particularly Pakistan for interfering and causing violence and killing in a barbaric way our civilians in Pahalgam. This is nobody's way. And the way they are helping the tourists there, it's really, I have never seen earlier this has happened in Kashmir. Kashmir is united. In fact, what the Kashmir is now today, it shows Pakistan that it is difficult for them to take Kashmir, whereas the Pakistan occupied Kashmir will come back to India. But we have to see how the planning has taken place. Who all are the sleeper cells available in Pahalgam and in those areas, particularly in Pirpanjal and Pahalgam and on top of Pahalgam in those areas. Of course, that has been surrounded by J&K police, army and CRPF. Let's hope for the best that the TRF commanders and particularly two Pakistani militants, those who are involved, and two more Indians, they were there. They have to be apprehended and they have to be killed or they have to be apprehended. But but I can well tell you the way the place was selected. You see, the place was frequented by our tourists in numbers where security deployment was the least. And you have to go by ponies or by horses to reach there, and security forces will take minimum 1 hour, 1.5 hours to reach. And they have selected such site. And the worst part of it, they have reckoned also before 2 days of this incident. And coming in Fauji attire, bringing all the sophisticated weapon, it shows that the sleeper cells around Pahalgam, they have helped them in giving them the shelter and also giving them this war logistics to help them and guide them to come and take this initiative. And
so
I
many
can tell
points
you,
to ponder there that you have brought up in your answer. But Mr. Mishra, there are reports now that the Cabinet Committee on Security, CCS, would be meeting. Can you tell us about what really happens in these meetings? I believe you have been part of these meetings in the past.
Yeah.
General,
the Cabinet Committee of Security?
Yes.
Right. Firstly, let's see as to who all attend that. It's the Apex Committee of India, known as Cabinet Committee for Security, which is chaired by the Prime Minister. It has got the Home Minister, the Defense Minister, the Finance Minister, the External Affairs Minister, and then it has got the Cabinet Secretary, the Defense Secretary. So, and all 3 Chiefs of Staffs and the CDS. Now, it is customary to hold this sort of a meeting in the Military Operations Directorate. I hope that it is still done there because there is an access to so many maps and other things in the operations room there. So, at the outset, what happens is that the event is described in details. Now, what has happened in Bisaran? The place is Bisaran, where this dastardly act took place, and then the whole thing will be described in detail. And before anything starts, there is an intelligence brief given by the IB and RAW as to who are the people, what has happened, whether there was a leak, we couldn't get the intelligence, or all these things are given. Then having said that, then the options are decided as to what to do. Like if you recall, I'll take you back to when we did Balakot. So it was decided then and there that look, they need to be punished.
That was after the Pulwama terror attack.
Yes. So what happens is when you decide the options, now you see you got three very strong components of the services: the Indian Army, the Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy. You never know, the Indian Navy may be tasked this time for something big, along with what is going to happen with the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force, because our armed forces are easily the best among equals in the world. So all these decisions are put as an option there, because that's why I thought all these people who matter, the ministers, everybody is there, and then they evaluate as to what does it involve. And remember, there are two things which are very important. I feel that if you give an award to somebody, and if you give a punishment, it must be immediate. But having said that, whatever punishment has to be given, it has to be given in such a way, at such a place of own choosing, that it will deter a person like this not to do a similar thing again. But again and again, I like to say that with the neighbor, this methodology, the astonishing regularity of dastardly attacks that continued from 27 October 1947. We had then after that 65 war, 71 war, you saw what happened in 1999, then you saw in Siachen. So they are a frustrated lot. So naturally, they have to do something and make sure that India doesn't do well, Kashmir doesn't come back to its normalcy, and that is why these sort of acts are done. It's sad. It is only, I would say, a very small, a minuscule percentage of people of Jammu Kashmir who are part of it. The majority of the people want to live peacefully. There is no doubt about it. Having spent more than 10 years, I have come across a cross-section of everybody. It is only these people who are imported from outside. And if you go into the history of J&K, post 1989-90, you find it is after Rubia Saeed was abducted.
Yes.
Then the whole thing started off in a big way. Then people came out with the arms on the roads.
Yes.
And when your Hazrat Bal was also, where the terrorists went inside. So then the story has changed. And let's not forget history. We should know as to who is responsible for it. And this, they call it a TRF, is nothing, just to make fool of the environment. To say that it is not residence front. It is very much the foreign element which is trained, aided and abetted by Hafiz Saeed and his people.
Yes. Just a very quick last word from you, Mr. Mishra. The army officers have been quoted as saying that the terror infrastructure is very much intact in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. There are training camps there are launch pads there are jihadi seminaries there is a madrasa network there, and all of those elements really feed into the terror infrastructure, which has the full backing of Pakistan's ISI. Right now, there is no definitive conclusion on who really was behind it. We know that the Lashkar front has taken responsibility for this, but with time we will know sooner than later as to who is behind this. But do you think that this continues to be a point of worry for India particularly?
Definitely, I can well tell you that there are camps opposite to our Kashmir in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, particularly in Muzaffarabad and Kell. And we know the absolutely 16-figure grid reference where these jihadi training camps are located and who are funding that and where from the weapons are coming and where are all the launch pads. In fact, like that of Balakot, they should be the targets. All these training camps, jihadi training camps, have to be demolished. We know that these launching pads, they are there through which from the training camp, the trained jihadis having weapons coming from Turkey and China, they are pushed to India, and Pak army give the covering fire for this. So let us see what action the committee will take today. In fact, PM is chairing, and let's hope, like that of Balakot, after Pulwama attack, here what type of covert operation or overt operations we are taking, and which will be the place and when we will launch it. It all depends upon this meeting and the defense committee, which will be deciding when to make it. But I am sure Lashkar-e-Taiba and Hafiz Saeed and Kaifari and Sajad Gul, they have to be punished, and we have to take the targets very badly. And what General Munir has planned before 4 days, it has come true, and he has planned it well in time when J.D. Vance was there in India and Prime Minister was there at Jeddah.
Yes.
We have to be careful. But what he thought that he will destroy India's, having a communal disturbance in India, it has not happened. By the way, the whole of Kashmir is now united, and they have shown Pakistan, we are not with you, and we want all these militants to be driven away from Kashmir, and Kashmiriyat is intact, and they are Indians, The way they are helping all those persons, particularly those who suffered it at Pahalgam, and the tourists, really, I'm heads up and salute those Kashmiri people.
Right.
All of them are helpful.
Absolutely. The entire nation and the international community today is standing in solidarity with the victims of the terror attack, and you are telling us how that outpouring of support within the Kashmir Valley also has been unprecedented, and we know that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that terrorists who are behind this attack will be brought to justice. So we leave it at that, Mr. Mishra and General, thank you for joining us on DD India.